Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. We're on the Blitz Angle today. I am Ryan Linklater. I'm here with my co-host Brady Penn. We did a film breakdown yesterday. The Bills and Chiefs gave you guys all the analysis, X factors, predictions for you guys based on the film. Today we got it for the Commanders and Eagles, Brady. Obviously, these teams have seen each other twice now. What do you think of the little details here that both teams are going to be looking for in film?
Yeah, on the commander side of things, I think you got to start fast. I mean, you really didn't do that in either of these games. The first one, you were sluggish the entire game on offense. The second one came on strong in the back half, largely predicated by the defense being able to stop a one-dimensional Eagles offense without without Jalen Hurts in and being able to focus on Saquon Barkley. But I think this is going to be a game that the Commanders are going to have to win through the air, and it's going to be a tough task against a really good secondary. But we've seen Jaden Daniels make some really good throws down the field against this Eagles secondary. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. We saw Daniels pick on Blankenship a couple times. It worked a few times, and it worked for Blankenship a couple times. So I think this is definitely a game that they're going to have to rely on Jaden Daniels' arm. This is a fast and physical defense that can and likely will stop the quarterback run, in my opinion, with the linebackers that they have and the athletic front seven. Defensively for the Commanders, it's all about stopping Saquon Barkley. And I don't know if there is any Saquon Barkley stopping necessarily. I think if you can hold him to 110, 105, and force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball more than they expected to, then that's a win for you. But the goal for the Commanders, don't let him run for 150 plus. Don't let him go for 180 all purpose like he had the first time around. He had a huge game both times against Washington, and that's what you have to prevent. You have to make Jalen Hurts beat you in this game because the last couple of weeks he has not been doing that against the first two opponents that the Eagles have faced. A.J. Brown has not gotten the ball a lot. Devontae Smith has not really gotten heavily involved. You can make an argument Jahan Dotson has been the number one target for the Eagles this postseason, which is not how it should be for them. And then that flips to what the Eagles need to do offensively. They want to keep doing what they've been doing, give Saquon the ball 25 or more times and ride him behind that huge offensive line. But if it comes down to it, you need to be confident in your passing game. You need to get A.J. Brown involved early and often. I didn't feel like they did a good enough job of that last week in the opening stages against the Rams. I did not feel like A.J. Brown was getting the football nearly enough. I think he had one target in the first quarter, and that's just not going to cut it for A.J. Brown and a player of his caliber. And then defensively, just fly around. Don't let anything get behind you. That's what the Eagles really got beat on in that second matchup where they lost 36-33 was they were letting receivers get behind them. Terry McLaurin and De'Ami Brown both had some big downfield catches against this defense, and that's something that Big Fangio is definitely going to be trying to prevent.
Yeah, so heading into this matchup, injury report-wise, on the Eagles side of things, they're a little bit healthier than the Commanders are heading into this game. Cam Jurgens did not participate today. Looks like he's probably trending towards being out. Dallas Goedert did not participate today. I think he will probably play. We'll see. Tomorrow's practice is going to be a big tell for him. Quinyon Mitchell did not finish the game last week, had logged a limited practice today. Looks like he's going to be out there this weekend. On Washington side of things, we know about Sam Cosmi, their great right guard. He is out for the season with a torn ACL. Bobby Wagner did not participate. He didn't participate all last week, was able to go with that ankle injury and wasn't very limited, so that was a good sign for them. He should be good to go. Deron Payne did not participate. We know he has a broken thumb, and now he's dealing with a knee injury. We'll see. I think he's a true game-time decision call if he's going to go in this one. Frankie Louvu is a limited participant. I think it's just something to kind of watch out for with him. I think he'll be fine, good to go. And then Zach Ertz, after not practicing and having some injuries from that Lions game, is a full participant. Ertz will be ready to face Philadelphia once again. You kind of talked about it a little bit, taking a look at the numbers between both these teams in both games. Obviously, they split the season series. Third downs in game one, right? Philadelphia 9 of 16, Washington 3 of 12. Game two, Washington 7 of 13, Philadelphia 3 of 16. Rushing yards, game one, Washington 93, Philadelphia 228. Game two, Philadelphia 211, Washington 113. Sacks in that game two, Philadelphia was sacked 4 times when Kenny Pickett was at quarterback. And then when you look at the fourth quarter points for both teams in these games, the team that won scored over 20 points in the fourth quarter, truly taking over the game at that point. So when you look at both these teams, right, I think they're kind of similar in the fact that they want to run the ball first. They want to establish their identity running the ball. And I think when we go and look at this tape, You're going to see these quarterbacks aren't necessarily the best processors. Like we said, I mean, watching Mahomes and Allen on tape yesterday was just a gift for us, and we're going to go through Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels, kind of some of their flaws. Obviously, Jaden Daniels has almost been perfect this postseason, but this regular season, and especially against the Eagles, he wasn't perfect by any means. We're going to take a look at some of that, where Daniels excels, where Daniels struggles, and then Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been heavily scrutinized for his play in the postseason. You guys are going to see where Jalen Hurts' reads were against the Commanders in game 1, game 2, and we're going to get into all that. So, Brady, let's kick this thing off. We are heading to the film room right now, and here we go. Loading up here, we got play number 1. I got to go back a little bit. We were testing it out before. Here we go, Brady. Why don't you break this down for us?
So what Jaden Daniels needs to avoid here is mistakes over the middle with the football. That's what we saw. We're going to have a little bit of lagginess here at the film. It is what it is. But Jaden Daniels did not look comfortable throwing over the middle. He looked like he was forcing, and you're going to see Zach Bond right in the middle right here get right in the thick of things on this throw by Jaden Daniels, and it almost gets picked off. This is an early mistake by Daniels on the road in Philadelphia, and this is something that you just absolutely have to avoid if you are the Philadelphia Eagles. You cannot have this, or if you're the Commanders, sorry. You cannot, let's say they get the ball first. Let's say they receive the football on a kickoff. You just can't go out like this on the first drive. You can't force balls into tight windows, and you can't just recklessly throw the ball around if you're Jaden Daniels. You have to protect the football. You have to send a statement on the opening drive, or else that raucous crowd in Philly is only going to get louder, and that defense is going to get even more energized off of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this read right now, too, the middle of the field, right around the 50-yard line, right? Bond's already in front of that route. You got 2 safeties behind him, right? You look on the right side of the field. They have what the Eagles run, right? They run cover 6 at the highest percentage in the NFL at 21%. They run cover 1 at 23%. They run cover 3 at 35%. Those 3 coverages are the bread and butter of this defense. And cover 6, for those of you guys that don't know, you have one side that's cover 4, the other side's cover 2, and you have that flat corner. And obviously on this play right here, I think despite a defender falling down, you have a little bit of this on this other side deep route that I think we're going to get to in some of these other plays that Washington has been able to take advantage of. So the middle of the field hasn't been great for Jaden Daniels against the Eagles. So let's get into this next play here. After this clip goes through, very interceptable pass.
All right, so
clip number 2 here, we got Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, so Jalen Hurts was missing reads in this ball game consistently. What you're going to see here on the bottom, Devontae Smith is just going to be running a simple drag route. He's got Mike Sainer still about 8 yards off in off-man coverage. And then you got 2 receivers right here pretty much getting in the way and setting a legal pick for Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts, if you let it run, he can throw this football. He can get it to Devontae Smith, and he just doesn't throw it to him. He doesn't step up, because even this defender right here on the field side is crashing down towards Saquon Barkley, who's about to leak out into the flat. This is straight one-on-one, and apologies, that is actually St. Just, I believe, not Mike Sainer still. But he is 5 yards behind Devontae Smith trailing. We know the speed Devontae Smith has. If Hurts literally just tosses this to him as he's stepping up, it's an easy first down for the Eagles. And instead, Jalen Hurts takes the sack, and it's a loss of a drive on 3rd down for the Eagles. And I feel like the word that comes to me, or really just the phrase that comes to me when I'm watching Jalen Hurts in 2024, is a lack of confidence. I don't know if the offense is too overwhelming for him. I don't know if with the volume that Saquon Barkley has gotten, that he's just not confident, not getting enough volume of throws to get into a groove, but he just looks lost out there half the time. This does not look like 2022 Jalen Hurts, and the more that we see of this, we've got about 2 years of this on tape now for Hurts. The more that we see of this, the more you have to wonder, like, how much of an impact did Shane Steichen have on Jalen Hurts' success in that 2022 season? That's my take on it.
Yeah, interesting for sure. Obviously, like, you're an NFL quarterback, you got to throw that ball to Devonta Smith. Like, that's just a simple read there, and I think you nailed it on the head. Hurts has struggled with his reads this season. I think he definitely has struggled in that department. And like you said, you have to let Jalen Hurts beat you in this game. Saquon Barkley needs to see 7, 8 people in the box. And I mean, looking at the film, the Commanders did that at times, and Saquon still was able to get his. So they're definitely going to have to be better in that department.
100%. I remember Saquon, I believe, in this football game was held pretty in check for the first 2.5 quarters, and then he took off at the end of the ball game. And then it was the opposite in game 2. He was going crazy in the first half. They loaded the box in the second half with Kenny Pickett in, and they were able to really do whatever against that Eagles passing attack, which is pretty non-existent. So here we go on this third play here. This is going to show the challenge that the Eagles front seven is going to present. Look at Josh Sweat here on the bottom. He gets to Jaden Daniels, and this is what you need. This is what the Lions did not have last week, which is a good pass rush, especially without blitzing. The Lions were blitzing all game long last week, and they kept getting burnt by Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal against the blitz, but here you see the Eagles are only going to send 4, and Jaden Daniels is just, under duress immediately with Josh Sweat here off the edge in the boundary. You got Jalen Carter, who's a game wrecker as well. But just look at the one-on-ones. The Eagles are going to win their one-on-ones in a way that the Lions are not going to, which means Jaden Daniels, you are going to have less time to throw. You're going to need to get rid of it quick, and you're going to need to make smart reads, smart decisions, which I think he is 100% capable of, especially with this being his third time facing this defense. But I think this is something that could present itself as a problem for the Washington O-line, especially without Sam Cosmi, who's out for the remainder of the playoffs, likely would have been the man blocking Jalen Carter, who's not even the one making the play here. But on the flip side of that, Brandon Graham will not be playing for the Eagles, who was, even though he's old, was a big, big part of this D-line, if you ask me.
Yeah, and the Eagles are one of the best at getting pressure with only 4, and it's definitely one of their best parts of their defense right there.
100%. So right here, you're going to have Jalen Hurts. He has A.J. Brown come open. So look at the concept up top here. You're going to have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both getting man-to-man coverage. First off, Devontae Smith is going to come open underneath here on this drag. Jalen Hurts can throw this to Devontae Smith. If you watch Smith right here, he can throw this for a first down. You've got the DBs cluttered up with A.J. Brown right here. But even then, if Hurts decides not to throw that, the DB falls on A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts is not under enough pressure yet to where he needs to start freaking out like he does. He has A.J. Brown wide open here, and watch him. He's going to decide to roll out. He still has him. He can still throw this to him. The DB is still on the ground. This one's occupied with Devontae Smith. He continues to roll out, and then he throws this one just all the way out of bounds. Can't even get the ball to A.J. Brown. And these are just the things that you cannot have if you're the Eagles. I know it's the Commanders. They're, quote-unquote, a wild card team. They're playing with house money. These are the kind of things that you just can't have if you are the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. It doesn't get more open than this. You've got A.J. Brown 20 yards down the field right here, almost maybe more than 20 yards. He'll be right at midfield. This is a big-time play, and you just absolutely brick it, throwing the ball out of bounds off your back foot. Bad mechanics, bad reads, and just bad ball all around from Jalen Hurts there. And that's what the Eagles need to avoid, and I'm not sure that they will consistently if this injury is true, if there really is something going on with Jalen Hurts' knee and his mobility is nerfed.
Yeah, and the mobility is a big part. Hurts had some really big plays on the ground, if you guys watch both these games, that were X factors in helping the Eagles run. And we've seen in the playoffs, Hurts has made some plays with his legs as well. And if he's making reads like this, Brady, you can't go win a shootout with this guy at quarterback. He's going to beat himself, right? You're going to have to play great defense, which luckily the Eagles have a great defense, but the Commanders are coming in, and you can make an argument they might be the best postseason offense right now just to how they're playing the last 2 games. 100%. So I think if you're the Eagles, right, and you're Kellen Moore, how do we get Jalen Hurts comfortable early on? How do we get some reads schemed up to where he feels comfortable? How do we get the ball out of his hands in 2.5 seconds without him having to think? You can see these plays where Jalen Hurts is thinking too much. The processing is not going through great. And, this was halfway through the season, right? The Rams game, right, was a little different. The Packers game, a little different. The stats weren't there. He was making the reads he had to make. But, Jalen Hurts has not been a great player this season, so it's concerning for sure. So let's get into the next clip here.
It really feels like light years ago that Jalen Hurts is being thrown in top 4 discussions. He was being thrown in top 5 discussions after Super Bowl 57. Super Bowl 57 against the Chiefs. People were talking about him being just as good as Lamar, which was insane. People were talking about him being just as good as Joe Burrow, which was crazy. People were putting him over Justin Herbert. And I think you're seeing over these last 2 years that, not to take anything away from him, he's been more of a product of his environment than an elevator, in my opinion. But right here, we've got another example of the Eagles edge rushing and how they can make life tough against these Washington tackles. The Washington O-line has not been great this year. They've have not been great in the run game. They haven't been great in pass pro. Jaden Daniels has covered up some mistakes for them with his elusiveness and mobility. Up top here, just check Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith, this is why it's concerning. He is an undersized NFL outside linebacker, undersized edge rusher. And watch the way he just absolutely bullies the left tackle here on this play. Just one arm, gets in there, takes Jaden Daniels down, and absolutely kills the drive. I mean, he just completely out-muscles this left tackle. If they put Jalen Carter on the edge, do you think the same thing's going to happen? Because I do. We already saw Josh Sweat do it. They've got so many threats along this D-line. Even if they want to bring Zach Bond down to rush the passer, which we saw him do a lot more in New Orleans, I mean, that's no problem to me for the Eagles. And I think that this offensive line is going to really need to step up. They might need to have an extra tight end in a lot of the times. They might need to have a running back staying back in pass protection, probably McNichols. I mean, they just, with 5-on-4 even, I'm not sure I'm confident in them against this Eagles pass rush to give Jaden Daniels the time he's going to need for the downfield shots that they're likely going to need to hit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you might have one cooked up here. Maybe the next play we got a downfield shot, or is that more in game 2?
That's in game 2. The next one's actually a Saquon.
You guys will see when we get deeper in this film. The shots are going to be there for the Commanders. It's a whether or not Daniels is going to have just enough time to be able to get those shots.
Okay, so I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I will. 54 on Washington. I don't know how he made the All-Pro team. Great in the box, great football IQ, Hall of Famer. Anytime you get him remotely in space, he is literally just completely out of his element at this point in year 14 or whatever this is for Bobby Wagner. I just want you to watch this develop. It's going to be kind of an outside zone run here for Saquon. He's going to get the football. Bobby Wagner crashes hard in this hole. And then you got Deron Payne being double teamed by Juergens and Mekhi Becton. Lane Johnson cleans up the outside right here. And, I mean, just look at Bobby Wagner, completely lost. He gets caught in the mix. He literally is just running towards color, which you absolutely cannot do. He's stumbling around, and Saquon at this point, he's out of there. He has one man to beat to the corner, and he does so. I mean, let's run that back here real quick. Let's get this back. Hold on. How do I get back? I'm like,
you just got to move with your mouse.
Oh my gosh, we got the okay, yeah. You cannot commit to this. You have to kind of break down and wait. You have to react off of Saquon, and he does.
See, this is what you have to do in this situation. If you're a linebacker, you got to know where your help is, right? You don't have as much help outside as you do inside.
You got Jeremy Chin right here.
You got to take a block over the left side if you're Bobby Wagner. And to be honest, that's just a bad read. His defensive lineman gets washed right into him. And that plays all on Bobby Wagner.
And then Saquon pretty much puts this game away. He makes it a 9-point game in the fourth quarter at that point, and it pretty much wraps there. And so here we go. Jaden Daniels, end of the game. He's trying to salvage it. He's trying to throw it over the middle, and what happens? You see him bring Zacchaeus in motion here. You're going to get cover 4, I believe, here from the Eagles. You got Blankenship right here lurking. He sees the outside breaking route coming. Daniels does not see him at all. He just completely undercuts the route and intercepts it. We'll run it back here.
Look, the biggest thing that you see in this game, especially, I want to see that they match up in week 9 maybe?
It was week 11 and then week 16.
So week 11 here. This is week 11, Jaden Daniels. This was the game that started at, I want to say, a 3-4 game slump for the Commanders offense, where we were like, man, this team is not like they were to start the season. And a lot of it is because Jaden Daniels was not making the right reads. Now, as we get into game 2 film here, you guys are going to see Jaden Daniels had a better game. He was making better reads. He was getting the ball out quicker. There might be 1 or 2 plays in here where he messes up over the middle. His weakest part was deep middle, which was throws over 20 yards in the middle of the field. That's where he does not excel. Where Jaden Daniels excels is outside the numbers, using his mobility to his advantage and getting the ball out quickly. That's where Daniels has been so good in the postseason, and that's why he's been really hard to stop. And you guys are going to see here, heading into game 2, how Jaden Daniels can be scary for an Eagles defense that we keep talking about has all these elite playmakers everywhere.
100%. So game 2 here, talked about in the first part of the video, the Commanders just cannot afford to put the ball in harm's way, to have a turnover early on. That's exactly what they did here, and this is on their home field. Brian Robinson had another one of these later on. Almost ended up hurting them, but this is opening drive Brian Robinson's going to get the football. He's going to get hit by 94. Ball's on the ground. Eagles have it. If this kind of thing happens at the start of the game on Sunday, I don't think this game will be as close as we're expecting. I mean, if the Commanders, when you're in this type of game, when you are an underdog type of team, let's think back on some of the underdogs of the past, the 2012 Ravens, the 2011 Giants. I'm sure there's a few others that we could think back on, even the 2015 Broncos, teams like that. The 2017 Eagles, I know they weren't technically underdogs, but with a backup quarterback in there, you got to come out firing. You got to come out and send a statement on the opening drive, especially on the road with that crowd, get them to quiet down early on. If you're Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, you come out first drive, you throw an interception, you put the football on the ground, that place is going to erupt. Those Philly fans do not play, and it's just going to be you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball immediately, which is kind of funny because Brian Robinson, number 8, he's the one at fault here. But
yeah, you're corny. You're corny.
but no, you can't afford a turnover in this early spot, and I think that ball security should be the priority over explosive plays on the opening drive. If you're the Commanders and you come out, you get a 20, 25-yard drive, 30 yards, you get stalled out, you're okay with that, I think. Because this Eagles offense, if you can slow Saquon down, is not the juggernaut that we saw 2 years ago. They haven't been a juggernaut this year. They only average 26 points per game at home. They're not the Bills. They're not the Chiefs. They're not the Ravens on their home field. But you can't let them make plays defensively and convert defense into offense. That is my take there. And so after this is one thing that's going to be coming into question here. Is Jalen Hurts going to be mobile in this game? We've seen about the knee injury. This is the one thing I'll give Jalen Hurts a lot of credit for. These 2 games that they played before the injury in the second one was his mobility and making plays with his legs. Now, if you look at this O-line here, everybody's blocked up. It's a little bit easier to make that play with your legs, but he's looking downfield. Nothing's there, and he just has a straight seam here. It's man coverage by Washington, and Jalen's just able to take off, get a big chunk of yards, get inside the Washington 30-yard line early on. And, I mean, that's the kind of thing that he needs to create, whether the knee is healthy or not. It might not be fair to him, but that's the kind of plays you're going to have to make if you're Jalen Hurts, because you're not throwing for 300 yards, I don't think, on this team. You're not airing it out for 4 touchdowns. You need to be the dual threat that we know you as.
The thing is when you watch this film, guys, and you watch Jalen Hurts and these running plays, almost immediately, and this is probably partly why Jalen Hurts is a bad processor of the field, when he sees man coverage, he is looking to just take off. We don't see a spy that often from the Commanders in this game, and Hurts has a lot of running room because of it. Brady, go play that back real quick of that clip and just go through it.
Let's check this out.
All right, look at this. There is such a big, wide open hole. You run 2 crossers over the middle. You run 2 deep routes on the right side. Jalen Hurts has so much room on the left side. He doesn't even care about what his routes are doing. He is just taking off, right? If Hurts is anywhere near, I want to say 75, 80%, he's going to be running. The Eagles are going to go win this game. And if Jalen Hurts, and if they want to win, I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to have to run. I know he's banged up, but he is going to be able to run in these situations. And to be honest, he might be looking to run more than pass in these situations in tight man coverage with no spy.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Once he clears this D line, there's nobody within 20 yards of him, 15 yards of him on this side of the hash, inside this hash on the boundary. And like you said, if they go heavy man in this game, which I'm not sure if they will or not, I don't really have their coverage rates on hand. If they go heavy man, like that is going to be the game plan. I think even if Hurts' knee is a little hurt, they're going to say, dude, you got to take off. You're going to have to take what they give us because this is not going to be, even though it's a weaker defense, the way our offense has been playing, we can't guarantee that we're putting up 30 points. We can probably guarantee that we're going to hold them under 30, but we can't guarantee that we're going to score 30. So we're going to need you to find as many big plays as you can, even if it's with your legs. And here's Hurts again on the run. This one actually a designed run. You see it's QB power. You got this O-lineman washing the D-line down. Cam Jurgens is looking for work. Look at Mailata just absolutely bodying this Washington D-lineman. And once again, Jalen Hurts gets past that D-line. He's got big-time space. He gets all the way down to the 20 and puts Philadelphia in the red zone here. I believe this is actually the play that he got injured on, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's this one or the next one. He had like 2 or 3 straight carries, and then he was hurt on the last one.
So here we go. Kenny Pickett's in the ball game now. And this is what I'm afraid of for Washington. I think that you can hold him in check, Saquon, that is, for 85% of the game, and it be all for naught because he can hit home runs like this. Check this out. Check out the blocking. You're going to have Mekhi Becton right here. He's getting right up on a guy. You got a double team happening right here. You got the fullback / tight end looking for work. Saquon gets skinny. All he's going to need is one block. This tight end is heading right for the corner, who, as a former corner, I can tell you, does not want any of that. You got A.J. Brown putting a block right here. Saquon, all he's got to do is make one cut. As the corner, your responsibility is to keep the outside contained. Don't let him get outside of you. Well, guess what? A.J. Brown is pretty much a one-man wall right on the inside. So all it takes one cut, bing, he's out of there. This is the kind of play Washington just absolutely cannot afford to give up in this game. And I think that Saquon is going to get a play or two like this. We've seen it. We saw it last week against the Rams.
Every single game you see it.
Yeah, a couple of home run hits from Saquon Barkley pretty much kills Washington's chances to me. And
Brady, go back to the start of that clip real quick.
It feels like inevitable that Saquon is going to end up doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Right, so hold up. Pause right there. Look, Washington has 7 guys in the box, and they have their safeties 8 yards off the ball, looks like, from this where their yard line is right now. Right, yeah, that is a stacked box. That's a stacked box. And they're still able to get that many big holes. That just goes to show you how elite the Philadelphia Eagles' run blocking scheme is and why an elite talent like Saquon Barkley is having the year he has.
100%, because you got Calcaterra. He's getting in right here. He's fitting up on Bobby Wagner. Dickerson winning his one-on-one. Mailata winning his one-on-one. Juergens has a guy washed here. A.J. Brown laying a block. Tight end 47 right here, laying a block. And Saquon is just so explosive, has so much speed. If Frankie Louvu is the closest guy to you in pursuit in your Saquon, I think you're feeling pretty good about getting to the end zone. Mike Sanders still is not nearly close enough to Saquon right here. And then Devontae Smith, without even putting hands on anybody, just veteran play, just kind of gets in the way to absolutely ensure that Saquon is getting in to the end zone, jumps up into the crowd, into a swarm of Eagles fans. But here is where we start to see some success from Jaden Daniels. The Eagles start sending pressure, and from what I see from the Eagles and the way their DBs play things, they expect on a play-to-play basis for pressure to get there quickly. They don't expect a quarterback to have more than 3 seconds to throw the football. They are a defense that likes to jump routes. And I'm not even saying that Darius Slay jumps anything here. What you're going to see is him get in phase, and Jaden Daniels, this is the perfect throw, perfect timing with his receiver. You got the safety shaded over here to the passing strength in the field. Jaden Daniels knows what he wants. He's confident, especially for a rookie. He just lets this fly. Darius Slay can't find the football. De'Ami Brown knows exactly where it's going, and he gets a big-time gain into plus territory to kind of kickstart this Washington offense. Let's run this back really quick here. Let's just run it full speed. Slay just can't find the football, and it's a perfectly placed dart from number 5. And I talked about how you can't turn the ball over early if you're Washington. This is the kind of thing that you need early to me. I think you need at least one explosive in the first 2 drives to spark confidence in this squad and make it feel like, okay, we can go out here. We can make big plays on this defense. We've done it before. We're about to do it again in their house. This is something they need to kickstart them, in my opinion.
And you know what's interesting, too, is you see a lot of Eagles corners that play off 8 to 10 yards from their wide receivers, and they're still getting burnt deep like that, right? The Eagles cornerbacks, what Fangio does so well is he plays to his guys' strengths, right? Darius Slay's not a barn burner. Quinion Mitchell's not a barn burner by any means, but they play off, and typically they're really good, but sometimes that catches you a little flat-footed, and that's where these deep out route, like just deep, fly patterns just get you. And Slay's an older guy. He's been great this postseason. And then Quinion Mitchell, obviously a rookie, but he's been great as well. I think if you're Washington, right, despite these guys being 8 to 10 yards off, and we saw it in this one, right, their deep routes are going to work. They're going to be there, right? And what you can even do off of that is you see these working so well on film, you run a comeback route, you run a few curl routes, you mix those in there on a key third down, and then you're cooking a little bit. You got something to work with. You keep those corners honest. And that's the type of game plan you can start scheming up, and I'm sure they're already working on that right now.
Yeah, so here's another one from the Commanders. This is kind of two things here. I think this is another instance of Quinyon Mitchell and what the Eagles secondary as a whole believes, which is pressure is getting home quick, which it does. You have a free hitter right here coming towards Jaden Daniels. You still got a 6-7 yard cushion between Quinyon Mitchell and Terry McLaurin here. The issue, again, Jaden Daniels. He knows where he's going. He's a smart quarterback. He sees the look, and he knows Terry McLaurin is going to continue fading to the outside. Quinyon Mitchell, the way that he plays this here in a second, when you see it, it's like he wants to make sure he keeps that inside leverage. He ends up drifting too far inside and isn't able to stay close enough to Terry McLaurin. And on top of that, he's ready to jump something. He thinks there might be an outbreaker here, just the way Terry's body language is. He's thinking maybe an outbreaker. He's ready to drop down on something. And instead, take a look at what happens. Just long bomb over his head. This is a rookie versus a veteran, all pro level wide receiver here. I mean, again, look at him. He's ready to either open up and get in phase or break on something. And Daniels has the guy right in his face. He gets hit, still delivers a perfect ball. I mean, when he lets go of this football, Terry McLaurin is still, I mean, the DB is still on top here. And it doesn't matter just because of the chemistry these two have. McLaurin burns him, gets to the corner of the end zone, makes a big-time play. And again, Ryan, these are the kind of plays you are going to have if you're Washington.
100%, 100%. Let's get to that next clip.
All right, so this one right here, I want to say is Jaden Daniels once again struggling over the middle. You got a couple receivers out here. If this is the play I'm thinking of, let's let it run through really quick. Yep, you're going to have Luke McCaffrey right here running a skinny post, a bang eight, if you will, and Jaden Daniels. All that he's going to do here is just completely airmail this. He is not confident throwing over the middle against his Eagles team with the safeties that they have, with the linebackers like Zach Bond that they have. I know no Nakobe Dean in this one, but watch. He just completely airmails this over to Gardner Johnson. It's one of two interceptions that he ends up having in the day, and it ended up not costing them because of the sheer amount of points that they were able to accumulate in the back half of this game. But, I mean, this is an open throw. This is a throw that if it comes on Sunday, you have to hit this. You have to hit it with velocity and precision. And we do see him hit his biggest throw of the game over the middle in the very end. But consistently, we've seen him miss these throws over the middle against this Eagles defense. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's just, just is what it is. But Jaden Daniels, objectively has struggled over the middle against this defense that, in my opinion, is the best defense in the league.
Yeah, and I think with Daniels, right, it's over the middle. We just have seen him be so elite in the postseason with taking care of the ball, just straight up killer mentality where Daniels has been perfect. I'm interested to see if they are just going to go out there and avoid the middle, or they're just going to go attack like they have. To be honest, I think they're just going to go attack. And who knows, we might get the best Jaden Daniels over the middle that we've seen all year.
Yeah, we could. And here's another example right here. You got two receivers out here to the field. They're offset, and you're going to have one route up here over the top. He's going to try and take these DBs back. Not really sure what the coverage is here. It looks like cover 4 to me. And you're going to have Terry McLaurin coming in right behind him. He's going to come over the middle on a dig. And at this point, you've got a linebacker getting depth. You've got a corner trying to gain relation. And you got a safety that's going to come downhill. Daniels decides to throw this football, an anticipation throw right here. Gets batted up into traffic. Could have been another interception easily right there. That, to me, is a turnover-worthy play. And right after another throw over the middle got intercepted, I do like the fact that Daniels is not straying away. He's not scared to go back to that kind of throw in that level of the field. But this is just not a good decision to me with 4 guys in the neighborhood right there on that throw. It feels like the way the Eagles were down, or the way the Eagles were up in this game, Daniels was trying to get it all back at once here with a big chunk play and didn't really take what was there for him. Because I believe if we run it back here, when Daniels throws this, he has his tight end right here. If he wants to go over the middle, he has Ertz and Austin Eckler open. I mean, you've got the DB right here who's going to have to rally and make a play. If Eckler catches this ball and is ahead of steam, who knows? He can maybe even get the first down. But instead, Daniels throws into traffic. To me, big no-no. But right after that, we've got a big-time play from Jaden Daniels. This pretty much kept the game alive. This is 4th and 11. Eagles, I believe Yeah, they bring 4 here. Daniels looks, he sees a hole to run, gets out of the way of Nolan Smith, and just watch him here. Just the ball carrier vision, the ball carrier ability, and I mean, really just the innate ability that you can't quantify, you can't really explain of Jaden Daniels. Just that clutch, that unfazed. That's kind of what you see here to me. I mean, this is 4th and 11. You're down 2 scores at this point, and you got to have it. And he did. I mean, he gets them down there. They end up scoring here, I believe, and that's 4th and 11. That's not an easy play to convert against the league's top defense. And I mean, he does it with his legs. When it's not there, he knows when to take off. And sometimes he takes big hits, but I think overall, Jaden Daniels is not a run-happy quarterback like Lamar was as a rookie. Like Lamar was when he first started, kind of, spamming the cheese. I think Jaden Daniels knows when to take off, and it worked out well here.
Yeah, Daniels as a runner was very good all season long. Against the Eagles, wasn't as good. That was a great run there by him. They're going to have to find creative ways for him to take off. And to be honest, it's going to be more of scrambles from him than design runs, I feel like, in this one.
100%. Now here's Jaden Daniels again. Almost lost him the game. If Devontae Smith had held on to a football on the final drive, this would have lost them the game. This is where I've talked all this video and the last few weeks about just how infallible Jaden Daniels is. And just he doesn't get phased. The moment doesn't get too big for him. But he presses right here. What you're going to see, he drops. I mean, the Eagles are bringing 4. They're bringing a delayed pressure here from Nakobe Dean. They're in that B gap. Daniels sees it, kind of rolls out to his right, panics a little bit. I mean, it's 3rd down. You got to make a play. He can't take the sack, throws it up for grabs, and it gets picked off over the middle once again. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you absolutely can't have. Let's say that this same scenario arises in this game on Sunday where the Commanders are down 6 points, I think was what it was. They ended up winning by 3. Maybe they were down 4. I can't exactly remember. But Jaden Daniels here has a chance to go and win the game against this Eagles defense. I don't think if he goes out and makes this play again with 3 minutes left that Jalen Hurts is going to give him the same mulligan that Kenny Pickett did, that Devontae Smith did. I think that, especially if it comes down to this and it's a big 3rd down, that Devontae Smith, he's going to remember what happened in this game. He's going to remember the mistake he made, and he's going to execute. I think whatever Eagle it is, will execute with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. Jaden Daniels, bottom line, cannot make that read, cannot make that decision in a big-time moment on Sunday.
No, he can't. No, he can't. And I think when you look at Daniels this postseason especially, it's that first read that he's getting the ball out to very well. You saw his first read there, Austin Eckler wide open, decides, I'm going to move out and try to get a bigger play with this. I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be able to press. If we get a true one-score game throughout, I think Daniels is going to be in a better position than he was in this game where he was playing from behind almost the whole game. And then you get in the fourth quarter of the other game too, he's chasing 2 scores just like that. So I think what's been interesting about these Eagles and Commanders matchups is that despite it being a 1-1 series, the Eagles have dominated a majority of this series if you look at how they've been leading.
Yeah, I think you could say the Eagles have been the better team for 7 out of 8 quarters in this matchup, possibly. I mean, it was really just this fourth quarter where Daniels took over. And here's what's funny. Talked this whole video about Daniels' struggles over the middle. Is he going to be able to make plays over the middle? Biggest play of the game. First off, actually good blocking by the Commanders. We might have a questionable hold here on the left guard when you look down here. But what you're going to see is cover 2, I believe cover 2 man here on the goal line by the Eagles. You got man-to-man down here in the field on McLaurin. You got man-to-man off man up here. And you got 2 safeties with help right here, I believe, from Gardner Johnson, the nickel. You got a linebacker walling off. And what you're going to see, if it'll load, you are going to see this route, this drag route right on the front line of the end zone. They're going to high-low the Eagles here. This is exactly how they won this game. They high-low. You got a safety that's late in rotation to Jamison Crowder, who's right here. He's about to clear the nickel defender on this side. And, I mean, this safety just gets caught in no man's land. But this safety's occupied at the tight end. This safety's occupied at the drag route. And Jamison Crowder just comes open in the back of the end zone for the win. And I think that this is really impressive. Let me get back to it here. I'm just going to have to let this run because the cursor is going too far. But this is really impressive to me. Jaden Daniels struggles all game over the middle. Struggles the entire 2 games over the middle. He's not afraid. He is not hesitant. He's not gun shy here to let it rip to Jamison Crowder. He knows exactly what he wants here. Look at his eyes. He's looking right to the back of the end zone this entire time. These receivers clear out. He just sees the slightest space as this linebacker turns back towards Zach Ertz. He lets it fire. It gets caught for the game-winning touchdown. That is the kind of confidence that we need to see Jaden Daniels play with on Sunday to get a victory, in my opinion.
And I mean, that's just elite anticipation from him. He's throwing that route before it's even open at that point, and he is trusting his read in that situation. That's what has made Jaden Daniels so great when he has played in the postseason. Daniels doesn't flinch. He's going to come out there, and he is going to play like he has all season. He's not going to lower his play because the moment's bigger. Daniels is going to step up when you need him most, and that's one of the things that I've learned from watching Jaden Daniels is he's got that dog in him. He ain't going to shy away from whoever he's playing, whether he's playing Mahomes or whether he's playing Blake Bortles. He is not going to shy away, and Daniels is going to keep coming regardless of the score. So, Brady, taking a look at all this film, going over both teams, right? We got to make a prediction on these teams. I'll let you catch your breath real quick. You did a good job on the film breakdown in the second half for us. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. I think the Eagles are going to be advancing to the Super Bowl once again. Was it the second time here now in 3 years for the Eagles? And it's not going to be behind their offense. It is going to be behind their defense and Saquon Barkley making the plays when he needs to, right? They have not been able to stop Saquon Barkley. The Commanders haven't. Over 200 rushing yards in 2 straight games against them. I mean, even if they regress, 150 yards, it's still a great game on the ground. They're able to control the time of possession, keep the ball out of Daniels' hands. Defensively, they have enough pass rush without blitzing. They have elite corners who are still healthy despite Quinion Mitchell leaving last game, right? This is a deep Eagles team, and I don't think the Commanders are talented enough to, go out there, have a few bad drives, and not stop the run and go win this game. What they did so well last week is they were perfect on offense. I don't know if they're going to be perfect against a division rival who has a much better defense than the Detroit Lions. They did not stop Jahmyr Gibbs last week. Gibbs was absolutely dominant. They're not going to be able to slow down Saquon Barkley despite having a stacked front. I have the Eagles taking this game 27-23.
Okay. Jaden Daniels, he's having the best rookie season we've probably ever seen from a quarterback. He has led them to not 1, but 2 victories on the road as an underdog in prime time against the Buccaneers and the Lions. They don't have the talent, like you mentioned. They have a talent gap. But they do have Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. They do have a defense that has found a way to create turnovers in both games so far. They are a much maligned defense. They haven't been great this year, but they have created turnovers. We saw the Commanders put up 36 on this Eagles defense last time out, and this Eagles defense is elite. I mean, that is not a fluke that these guys put up 36. I think they put up 18 the first game, so all in all, they're averaging 27 a game against this unit, which is pretty good. That's much higher than the average that the Eagles give up. Jalen Hurts, we have questions about his knee. But ultimately, you mentioned the second time in 3 years. Third time in 8 years.
Hey, the hat is coming on.
Eagles. It is going to be the Eagles flying all the way to New Orleans. Their wings are going to be tired, and they are going to be in the Big Easy. Only question is, will it be against the Bills or will it be a rematch of Super Bowl 57? We will find out, and we will know if the Eagles are there or not right before that game kicks off. So I'm definitely excited. I know this game to me is getting a little bit overshadowed by just the aura of the AFC Championship. Allen and Mahomes, Part 4, Arrowhead, three-peat on the line. Allen trying to create his own legacy. All these storylines, the AFC is just mogging the NFC right now in that regard. But, I mean, this is a good game. This is, I think, the 5th or 6th time we've ever had a divisional matchup in the conference championship. We had Ravens and Steelers. We had a couple others, Packers and Bears, Niners and Seahawks. We've had a couple here in the history of the NFL, especially over the last 15 years. And third time, I think the Eagles are going to win the rubber match here. I mean, they're at home. They've got the talent gap. They've got an unstoppable running back right now with a really, really good defense. They've played really sloppy football to win these first 2 games, and I don't know how sloppy they'll be here the third time out. I don't count on them looking that bad for 3 games in a row. Give me the Eagles going 1 point higher than you here, 27-24 Philadelphia.
1 point higher. So,
I
hey,
wanna
so those of you guys betting 3.5, make sure you guys pick whoever you're trusting in this one for your pick.
Yeah, I want to revise here. I'm going 27-24 both games. I was looking over my
Oh,
model.
big scoring increase.
I was doing a few more calculations here, and I told you my model came out to 25-24 Bills. Honestly, it all comes down to I didn't think they were going to score 25 or 26, so I just went ahead and bumped them up the closest real score. So 27-24 Bills, 27-24 Eagles. If you know anything about how my predictions have been this year, I would go and put instant money on the Chiefs and Commanders. But we'll see.
We will see. Our picks are very close. Obviously, we'll find out. It'd be interesting if we're tied going in the Super Bowl. Would we have to pick a different team?
Right. Like, are we gonna? I think we have to like write our picks down. Don't tell each other what our pick is, but write them down and give them to one of the girls, and then let them put it down after the game.
Bro, we're gonna have the same pick, and we're just gonna tie. I already know what's gonna happen. We
Oh.
both know who we're gonna pick. If
I think both of us are gonna pick the AFC team.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we're both on the same page there. So either way, this might come down to what's gonna happen. We might have to do like one CFL game to decide it.
Something like that, or maybe we can do a tiebreaker of who gets the first 5 picks of the draft more right.
All right, sounds good. But hey, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We might have a little betting preview for you guys out on the YouTube channel. So go check out that as well. If you guys enjoyed this content, hit the subscribe button for more Film Room and Blitz Sports Media content. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yes, sir.